Hello again, fellow audiophiles. I am Wave Theory, and today I have the Nitsch Schiit Magni Piety $150 headphone amplifier, which you can't buy. Okay, it is sold out pretty much everywhere. So let me go ahead and right off the top address why I still think it's worth making a video about this. So this was a limited run for part availability reasons. And so again, like, you can't get it right now. I'm going to go ahead and do a quick review on it anyway for a handful of reasons. One, some of them will become available on the used market. Should you be interested in that, and at what price? Okay. Two, what if parts become available and Nitsch and Schiit get together and make another run of these? Should you jump on it if that happens? And I have no insider info as to whether that is a possibility, but that's the way markets work sometimes. If it comes available, should you jump on it? That's a second question that I will answer. And then I will also come at it from, if you like the description of sound that you get on this one, okay, on this unit, how can you get a sound like that, similar to this, without breaking the bank? Okay, and so I will talk about that too. So we'll go ahead, we'll jump into shameless self-promotion, then we'll come back on the other side, and I will have a few words to say about the Magni Piety. Hey, thanks for watching this video. Please remember to hit that like button, and if you haven't, please subscribe. Also, I have a Patreon set up so that you can help support me on a monthly basis, and I've set up a PayPal donation so that you can help me out in that way too if a monthly subscription does not make sense for you. Links for all of that, including the benefits, in the description below. Please check those out. All right, on with the show. All right, so the Nitsch Schiit Magni Piety. It is a $150, or at least it was in MSRP when it was available in that brief window of time that it was. It is on the outside, basically in every way, a Magni headphone amp. If you are familiar with Schiit's Magni series, it has that same size, it has that same build, it has the same feature set. All right, as the rest of the Magnis. So the only thing that really differs in its appearance is just the color scheme is more of this just regular gray color rather than being their silver or their black design there. Okay, but otherwise it is the same. You get the volume knob on the front, you get the 1/4-inch headphone output. There on the back, you get a set of RCA analog inputs and pre-outputs, which activate and deactivate upon plugging and unplugging headphones there. And so you can use this as a preamp. You get high and low gain switch on the back. You get power switch on the back. Power switch on the back on a piece like this doesn't bother me. I think most people are just going to plug this in and leave it on all the time. So in terms of build and features, at least physically, right, it is a Magni in every way. Now, the design intent of it from a sonic standpoint was to create a more tube-like listening experience in a solid-state amp here at this price, okay, in this entry-level space. All right, and so when we get to the sound here in just a moment, that's what I will talk about. How well they achieve that, does it work, and if you're interested in that, how can you get that sound from a solid state design, without breaking the bank. So we'll get to that in just a second. Okay, other features here, the power output on this is spec'd at right at 1 watt per channel at 32 ohms. I did plug in my Hi-Fi Min Edition XS planar headphone, which is not super power hungry, but it is a little bit on the more demanding side. This handled it fine. It also did well with 300 ohm Sennheisers like the HD6XX and the HD660S2, which I have in for review. That's coming up shortly as well. And then also the Beyerdynamic DT880, which is a 600 ohm headphone. It had the power and the drive to control all of those that I just named relatively well, and sounded pretty clean and punchy and all of that with most of those headphones. So even though I don't think it has quite the same amount of power output of some previous Magnis, in terms of actually driving most headphones or realistically priced headphones, I think you're going to be fine on that. Okay, here's the power brick. it is big and eats up a lot of space on an outlet. Okay, so same complaint that I had with the Magni Multibit, the power plug is the same one that I have here because I'm pretty sure it's the same thing. 16 volt AC, 1000 milliamp or 1 amp output there. So you have that there. You have this kind of plug on the amp end. Again, I would have liked to have seen this bulky thing moved away from the actual outlet and somewhere in the middle of the cord like you see on the Monolith Liquid Spark amp, okay, for example. Okay, so with that, we'll go ahead and we'll jump into sound here quickly. I just mentioned 3 of the headphones that I used. I also would have used the Austrian Audio Hi X60, which I just did a review for. I will put that in the description below, as well as the Hi-Fiman Sundara. And I think that was about all that I used to, those 2 plus the 3 that I mentioned previously. Check out this amp here. And I did most of it in high gain because just like most of Schiit's designs, like to my ear, high gain sounds better, and that's true here. So I use mostly in high gain. Okay, DACs that I would have used would have been the Magni Multibit 2, and I did use my Chord Hugo 2 a little bit just because it was easy to plug in without having to dig around on a lot of stuff on behind my desk anymore. All right, so we'll get into it then. Yes, it has a little bit of a warmer signature from a frequency response standpoint, okay, and it has a little bit of a thicker sound to it, so it kind of has that slightly warmer, thicker sound with some of that like euphonic-y kind of distortion-y stuff. I know that is a loaded term, but it does sound vaguely tube-like. It does. They have taken a solid state design at this price point and given it a flavor of tube, and it does so rather effectively. For the price point, it has pretty good resolution. It was resolving things like room reverbs and ghost notes and the zizzy sound of bows being dragged across strings fairly well. It has a fairly decent amount of macrodynamic impact to it, so there is some decent bass punch to it. There is a little bit of low bass, sub bass rumble. Not a ton, but it's there. You can tell that it's trying and all of that. The spatial presentation is reasonably holographic for the price point and all of that. I mean, just put all of that together in a sonic package, and yeah, it is one of the better sounding entry-level headphone amplifiers out there that I think would be an excellent starting point for a lot of people if you can get one. So, all right, if Schiit ever manages to scrounge up the parts to make another batch of these, again, I have no insider info as to whether or not that will happen or if they're even trying, but with fingers crossed hoping, if that ever happens, and you are some hypothetical viewer in the future, okay, coming back to see if, hey, these are available now, should I get one? Yeah, it's really a good, strong starting point for headphone amplifiers that, doesn't just sound really dry, brittle, and harsh that a lot, like a lot of op-amp-based entry-level amps do, okay? It just has a more, again, a warmer, thicker, leaning towards a tube-like, stereotypically tube-like kind of sound that is, nice and enjoyable, but it still brings some resolution and some good holographic sense of holography to its spatial presentation and a decent amount of macrodynamic impact and some pretty good timbre. Okay, so those are all those things. Spatial presentation, the dynamics, the timbre are usually traits of the Schiit house sound, and those made it in here at an appropriate level, I think, for the price point. Okay, should you buy one of these if it comes out on the used market? For a reasonable price, sure. And I'm going to say that reasonable price means at the $150 MSRP or lower. I would not go above that. Okay. A friend of mine shared a link to someone who was selling one of these brand new on US Audio Mart for $300. I just looked before I started filming this video, and someone was selling one brand new on eBay for $415. And I'm just going to say to everyone out there, don't be that guy. Don't be that guy. That's not cool. Okay? That kind of price gouging, just uncool. Okay? Don't do it. And also, if you're going to buy, don't buy at that price, right? If your intent is sonics, Okay, no, it is not worth that much money. Okay, so if one comes up used from a seller who you can trust, okay, or is willing to use PayPal or whatever, so there's buyer protection at $150 or lower and it's in good shape, sure, go ahead, jump on it, see what it sounds like, or just start your audio journey there if you haven't really jumped into the audio journey yet. Okay. If you like the slightly warmer, thicker sound and you need it at an entry-level price, I think the Monolith Liquid Spark amp is still a good option. Okay, that one still has the power to drive all of those headphones that I just named a moment ago. It's not going to be quite as tube-like, and I don't know that it will be quite as holographic in its spatial presentation here as the Magni Piety is, but it's also not far behind, and it's going to have a presentation and a sonic profile that is leaning in this direction more than just about all of the other entry-level headphone amps that I know of right now. So if that is a sound that is interesting to you and you need it at that price, Monolith Liquid Spark amp, and I'll put a link to where you could buy one of those in the description down below. Okay. What if you can pinch your pennies for just a little bit longer? What should you do then? All right, so as you're waiting around for one of these Magni Pieties to potentially become available on the used market, or just hoping and praying, because piety, haha, that Schiit and Nitsch might make another run of these things, you're probably also able to start socking a little bit more money away and saving up for something else. And so if that applies to you, I would look into this. This is the Asgard 3 from Schiit here. It is currently $250 US for the black casing version, I believe. I think silver they're charging a little bit extra for. I've had this one for quite a while, all that, but for just $100 more than the Magni Piety, you get that that warmer, thicker sound to it with even better dynamics, noticeably more resolution, better sound staging and imaging and separation and all of that. In this package here, again, I know it's $100 more, but again, if you're waiting around for one of these to be available because you want a solid state amp that has some tube-like characteristics to its sound, okay, just balance the waiting game with saving up a little bit more to just go ahead and get one of these, because these are more available and easy to get. And I have reviewed this in the past, and I will put a link to that review down below. And then I will also link to Schiit's website where you can buy these as well. So those are my thoughts there. Okay, so again, the Magni Piety is a fine little amp. Okay, I did enjoy listening to it. It has a really nice, pleasing sound to it that is still fairly technically proficient. They're at $150 USD. It is really a shame that there are not more of these available, because it would be an easy recommendation if there were. So then again, since it's not available, should you wait around for one? Okay, sure. Should you scour the used market and get one? Okay, yeah, if it's $150 or less, but if it's getting any more than that, I would just say save a little bit longer and go with the Asgard 3. All right. So, yeah. I will go ahead and leave it there. I don't know if I dropped my common disclaimer. This was a loan from a friend of the channel, and so I don't get to keep it. It will go to the owner here within the next day or two whenever I can get it boxed up and shipped out. So yeah, there are my thoughts on the Nitsch Schiit Magni Piety entry-level headphone amp. So I am Wave Theory. Thanks for watching. Please remember to leave a like, subscribe if you haven't already, comment on this video, and all of that. And as always, enjoy the music.